All right, we're live. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let me put it in the group. I think we're on page 120 something, 121 or 2, and it's going to be different in your books. We're talking about the optional prayers, right? Isn't that what we were talking about last time? All right, and who remembers the name of the 5 prayers in order? And how many obligatory rakahs are in each?
2, 4, 4, 3, 4.
Okay, good. So those are the obligatory 5 prayers, and that's the obligatory amount that we have to pray. And what makes them different than the optional prayers? What's the difference between the obligatory prayers and the optional prayers?
Optional prayers, the times are different, right? Obviously, like there's certain times, like I know, like tahajjud, for example, like you can write like a 30.
Okay, so you have some that are different times,
Different times.
some that are connected, some that are connected to the obligatory prayers, some that are different times. Okay.
Odd, right? Like the odd number or something. Like, what is witr? I forgot.
Okay, witr is also one of the optional prayers at night. Okay. Now, the obligatory prayers are different in that if we pray them, we're rewarded. If we miss them, it's a sin, right? Where the optional prayers, some are very highly encouraged. We shouldn't miss them. But if we do miss them, there's no sin incurred upon you. But you're missing out on something great. For example, the 2 sunnahs before Fajr, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said that those 2, and he used to pray them very short. He used to read short surahs in them. So very short, and he would pray them short, like he wouldn't stay long in their sajdas and stuff. He said those 2 rakahs are better than this whole world and everything that's in it. So if we're missing them, we're missing out on a lot of rewards. We mentioned last week, what are some of the benefits of the optional prayers? We mentioned a hadith last week that talked about the obligatory and optional prayers and their relationship. What is the relationship, or what are some of the benefits of the optional prayer? Remember, we had the hadith that the first thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask about is the salat, is the obligatory prayers. And if your record of obligatory prayers is good, then everything else will be good, and that person will have like an easy account. And if there's any defects, and if that person's record of prayers is bad, then everything else will not turn out to be good. And if there's any defects in our obligatory prayers, things we've missed, we wouldn't concentrate or something like that, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks, does he have any optional prayers to fulfill the deficiencies in the obligatory prayers? And then the optional prayers will be brought forth to fill those gaps. Right? We talked about that hadith last week, right? It's in this chapter. It's the first hadith mentioned in this chapter. Because we started this chapter, right?
In my video, we were talking about.
What's your question?
Nothing.
We talked about the obligatory prayers, and we started the chapter on the optional prayers, right? So this is um, one hadith that mentions the importance of these optional prayers. So just because they're optional doesn't mean they're not important. They are important. We should um, get ourselves in the routine of doing them, because which of us doesn't have some kind of gaps in their obligatory prayers? Whether we prayed them fast and we didn't concentrate, or maybe we missed one, or woke up late, or whatever gaps and deficiencies there are, that can be made up through the optional prayers.
I just want to make sure I'm reading this right. So I think it's in our book 113. It says optional salat, it is permitted to sit even if you have the ability to stand.
Yes. Which number are you on?
So you can sit for optional prayer, for the optional.
Yes, we'll get there.
Oh, sorry.
We'll get there.
I thought we covered that 2 weeks ago.
No, I think we were talking about obligatory prayers and standing and sitting. I might have touched on that, but I'll touch on it again. One thing that came up, I think it was last week maybe, or the week before, is what does one do if they missed an obligatory prayer? Your alarm went off, but you slept right through it and didn't wake up for Fajr. Or you planned on praying Zohar, but you weren't able to. You were in surgery, let's say, or in some type of a situation where maybe you forgot or weren't able to do it. What do you do?
What you do as soon as you remember?
So you make it up as soon as you remember, as soon as you're able to.
As long as it's not during one of the prohibited.
As long as it's 1 hour during one of the prohibited times. And you can, but you should try your best to keep the order of the prayers. So let's say that you missed Maghrib, and now it's already time for Isha. You pray Maghrib first, then Isha. So that you're keeping the order of the prayers intact. Right? But make it up. It's, don't just leave it.
Don't you have to make, like, say for you, and I'm only thinking of this because I used to nanny some kids. So if they miss like a whole day of prayer, they make that whole day up before they go to the next day. Right?
Yeah, if you missed a number of prayers that you remember, and it's not like a lot where it's going to be a hardship, then you make them up. But then there'll be some people who have missed like months of prayers, or haven't been praying for years, and now they want to pray. And some imams will tell them, well, you have to make all of those up. And it becomes a hardship, and they just don't even start. So the best thing for them to do is just repent and start anew. But if it's something that you're in the habit of praying, and you remember that, yes, I was, I had an operation and they put me under sleep and I missed my Asr prayer, and now I can pray it, then you pray it. Okay. So we'll start this chapter again, Salat al-Tawattau, the optional prayers. Who would like to read?
Okay, Salat Tawadu.
Tawattau.
Its place in the Sharia. The optional salat was prescribed to make up for deficiencies which might occur in obligatory salat. In view of the special merits of salat, which other forms of worship are lacking, the Prophet ﷺ said, "The first thing to be taken account of from the deeds of the slave on the day of judgment will be the salat. If it is satisfactory, he will be successful and pass. If it is not so, he will fail and lose. If something is deficient in his obligatory prayers, the Lord will say, check if my slave has any optional salat to his credit. Deficiency will be made good from that. After that, the rest of his deeds will be examined in a similar way."
All right. So this is
the fasting, yeah.
right. So this is the hadith I was mentioning, that the deficiencies in the salat will be made up. The deficiencies of obligatory salat will be made up with the optional ones. So they are important. All right, next hadith.
The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to Rabia bin Malik of Aslami, ask me for something. He said, I will ask at your company. I ask you for your company in paradise. He said, is there anything beside that? He replied, that's it. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, help me in that by making lots of sajda for yourself.
Okay, so um, the companion asked that he be with the Prophet in paradise, right? And he said, I'll make supplication for you, but help me by increasing your salat. So that shows the importance of it, that if we pray a lot of the optional prayers, that'll help us either get into Jannah or get into a higher level of Jannah. All right. Number 2.
The best place to offer voluntary salat is in your own home. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the best salat is that of a man in his house, except for the obligatory salat.
Okay. So for men, obligatory prayers, it's best for them to pray in the masjid or pray in a congregation. Otherwise, for the optional prayers, praying in your home is fine. It's better. But there's nothing wrong with praying them in the masjid or praying them somewhere else. It's wherever you have the most connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you, so for example, in Ramadan, the Tarawih prayers, if you feel that I'm not going to go home and pray them, I'll get too lazy and I'll just pray them in the masjid, and I feel a good connection with Allah and I enjoy praying in the masjid, then go ahead and pray in the masjid. Or, you just prayed your Isha, and even though you're on your way home, you said, well, I want to pray my sunnahs and my witr first. You can pray in the masjid and there's no harm in it.
The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the salat of a man in his house is more meritorious than his prayer in my masjid, basically of obligatory salat.
Okay, so the salat of a man in his house is more meritorious than the prayer in my masjid, except for the obligatory salat. So the obligatory salat should be done in the masjid.
And that
For a
was
man.
just a masjid, but my masjid.
His masjid, yeah. So it's perfectly fine to pray in the house. It's better, in fact. And one of the reasons is because when you're alone, you have more sincerity. The whole basis of our religion is based on sincerity. And that's why one of the first hadiths we read in class, and we probably should just look at it again, is that all actions are based on intentions. If your intention is solely for the sake of Allah, then you're rewarded in that. So if you're out and about, even in the masjid, somebody may pray their optional salats, but kind of be trying to show off and, oh, everybody else is praying, so I'll pray too, type of thing. But when they're home, you're distracted, you can go to sleep and everything like that, but you're alone, you're not really even showing off to anybody, it's just you and your Lord and your sincerity. So that's where one of the wisdoms behind praying at home, and also to make it easy for people.
Imam Nawawi said, stress was placed on praying optional salat in the home because it further removes the chance of praying just to show off, and it brings blessing to the house, and mercy descends upon it as well as angels, and the city fears him.
And in one hadith, it says that don't make your houses like graveyards. Recite the Quran in them. So reciting the Quran and praying in your houses brings blessings to your house.
Number 3,
And as you mentioned, it decreases the effects of the devils and that type of thing. Protects you from magic. These types of things protect your home by reading Quran and praying in. Number 3.
in optional salat, it is permitted to sit, even if one has the ability to stand. also permissible to stand for part of it and sit for part of it, even in one row. Makes no difference whether the sitting precedes the standing or vice versa. All is permitted with no aversion. One can sit any way he likes, although cross-legged is the best. The reward of a salat performed while sitting is half the reward of a salat performed while standing.
Okay, so can a person sit during the optional prayer? Sure, no problem. Especially if it's long, they get tired. Sometimes like Tarawih prayers in the masjid, you can stand, but yeah, it's getting kind of tiring, so I'll sit down. I mean, that gives you more focus. That's no problem. The Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, used to pray while riding a camel. So sometimes he would be in a journey, and he would start his prayer facing the Qibla and pray sitting on the camel, and the camel would go wherever it goes. Right?
So let me just clarify this though. As far as sitting, is that just during like, that's for the whole entire?
It could be for the whole prayer. It could be for part of it. Right? So like,
But you would still do normal, like how you pray, you're just sitting down.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm making sure.
Yeah, you would tie your hands just like you were sitting down. Or, maybe you started standing up and it's getting long. It's like, okay, I'll sit down, and you can sit down and just complete your prayer like that if you like. And that's fine. But there's more reward in standing and having patience in that. But in optional prayer, it's fine.
And standing is the regular reward, but sitting is half the reward.
Right.
Does it matter what the reason is? If there's a medical reason or
So if it's a medical reason, then a person can't stand and they get the full reward.
if you
Right.
can't?
Right. Because that person can't stand. But if you choose to sit, and you could have stood, then that's half.
Can't, and it's really, really achy. It hurts a lot, but I can still stand.
Yeah, but also you have to look at like if it's hurting that much, now you're thinking about your legs and not thinking about the salat, then maybe it's just better to sit so you can focus better. Because the whole thing is focusing and having sincerity. That's where you're gonna get most reward. That's when you can get the benefit of your salat. If you're just, and that's why there's a hadith that if you're hungry and your food is ready, eat before you pray. And there's another hadith that says if you have to use the restroom, then do that and then pray. And the reason for both of them is you're going to be distracted. If food is ready, you're hungry, you're going to be thinking about the food. Especially if there's shawarmas and whatever she cooked and didn't bring to class. Same thing as if you have to go to the bathroom. You have to go to the bathroom, you're praying, you're trying to rush through it just so you could go to the bathroom, and you don't have to make wudu again. You're not really thinking about the prayer and concentrating. So the whole idea is that we need to preserve our concentration in prayer.
The last item there, optional salat encompasses sunnah, the supererogatory, salat of Fajr, Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha, and Witr, and salat offered also after wudu, tahajjud, and others.
Okay, so like the salat that is attached to like Fajr, like the two sunnahs before Fajr, the sunnahs before Zuhr and after, those are in there, as well as the ones where when you go to the masjid, you should pray 2 rakats, or if when you do wudu, you can pray 2 rakats. So those are also in there. Tahajjud, any other reason you have to pray, even if you just want to pray, that's fine. But those are all going to be the optional prayers. Questions?
When you go to the masjid, you do the two for the masjid.
Right.
Can that also count as your two sunnah before the quarter?
So the whole purpose is just to pray before you sit down. So if you want to pray your Zohar, the sunnahs before Zohar, that's fine. Then you don't have to pray the ones from the masjid separately. Or if you get there and it's now time already for Maghrib and you join the congregation, you don't have to do two more for entering the masjid. Right? Make sense? Because the whole purpose is that you pray something before you sit down.
Or if you get there and you pray the two for the masjid, and then they do the ikama or the,
Right. While you're still praying?
no, you finish that, and then now they do the call for prayer before the khutbah, like on Jummah.
Yeah.
And they say, okay, go ahead and do your sunnahs, but you've already done this two for the masjid, then should you go ahead and do another two sunnahs?
If you want to.
Optional?
If you want to. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Next chapter. Who is Salat mandatory upon?
Those upon whom Salah is mandatory. Salah is mandatory in every adult and sane Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ said, the pin is lifted from three persons. The insane whose rationality has been overcome until he recovers, the sleeper until he wakes, and the children until they attain puberty.
All right. So there's three types of people who the pen has been lifted, meaning nothing is written down for them against them. A person who is insane, whether that insanity be temporary or, a long-term type of thing. If somebody has like episodes of schizophrenia or episodes of some type of insanity, where it's so much where they're no longer in control of their actions, then they're not held accountable to Allah for that punishment.
Or autistic children?
It depends,
Or any-
because there's a huge spectrum, right? Some of them are able to function and understand and know the consequences of praying and not praying, and some of them don't. And so if somebody doesn't understand, just can't understand the responsibility of prayer, then there's no harm on that person.
The father and mother should teach.
Oh, hold on. And someone who sleep until he wakes up, that person, if he misses a prayer, and again, this is not somebody, so it shouldn't be habitual. It should be that we're trying to wake up for Fajr. We have the plan to. We set the alarm. It's not like we're going to bed at like 4 a.m. and hoping to wake up for Fajr, right? We did our normal thing, and we missed it. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't punish us for that. But if it's a habitual thing and somebody's just careless about it, then that's something that's, they're being careless about Salat. That's something sinful.
That brings me to like a question / maybe I'm thinking a little too deep. So obviously if you're not in a Muslim country, right? Like we're in America, we're not hearing your thing go off in public. Yes, we have phones. Do you think that Allah, I know he's most merciful, so it's probably a stupid question, but like imagine we didn't have phones, we live in America, non-Muslim country, our body just naturally wakes up when it wakes up. Do you think that's something that
We had alarm clocks. We'd wind them up.
I wasn't around that time, but yes, you're right.
We literally, Sister Annette, not everything was before. We had lives before phone. Hafsa.
You know what he was gonna say that? Sometimes.
Hafsa, the Sister Khadija's here with the food. Can you get it from her? She's not coming in. So yes, we had alarm clocks. They actually have to like wind them with a key. You may have seen them in like movies and things. So we'd have alarm clocks. Yeah. They even had a thing called a clock radio.
I'm just saying, because I've got my Wi-Fi fast, so I can't be.
You even had phones with cords on.
Yeah, they had to like dial with a finger on the wall. We had payphones, so you put quarter in.
Just one for the whole house.
You had
And it was downstairs in the living room where everybody can hear you.
exactly. and we had dial-up internet.
I do remember AOL.
But yeah, I mean,
No, I will.
it is important to know the times for prayer and be cognizant of it, right? We generally know what time prayer is, and we should kind of plan our day in a way where, okay, if I'm driving to DC, okay, where am I going to stop and pray? Right? Build in a 10, 15-minute gap so we can do that. So it's all about planning. It's about holding something in importance. If we hold something in importance, we'll get it done. Throughout our whole day, no matter how busy we are, the things that are important to us, we normally get them done. The people who are important, we answer their messages. The people who are not, they sit in our inboxes, right? It's just the way things are. So if we hold our salat important and hold our relationship to Allah as important, then all of this falls into place. And the third is children until they reach the age of puberty. While they're not responsible for their sins, we're supposed to encourage them to pray. So when they're 7 years old, and we'll read this in a little bit, we should order them to pray. And when they're 10, you should punish them in some way if they don't, just so that they know the importance of prayer and that it's ingrained in their head that they should be praying. Because once they reach the age of 13 and 14, if you start with them then, it becomes more difficult because that's already the age they're trying to be rebellious against everything anyways. So they don't even grow out of it. Okay, continue.
The father and mother should teach their children how to perform salah and order them in a gentle manner to do so. When they reach 7 years, and punish them for neglecting it when they reach 10 years, so that they get used to it and it becomes a natural practice that they will uphold after puberty. The Prophet ﷺ said, teach your children salah when they reach 7 and punish them for neglecting it when they reach 10. Also separate them from sleeping together.
Okay, so this just highlights the importance of teaching our children to pray and kind of making that a part of it, making that a part of our day. It's a good idea to pray with your children. So they, again, see the importance of it and things like that. Remind them of it. Remind them when you're traveling and such that, hey, it's time to pray. We have to do this, and reminding them always. All right. So, any question about that? So, those are the people that it's obligatory upon. So now, if somebody is sick, is it obligatory on them to pray? Yes.
It depends on what kind of sick you mean.
If they're alive.
I mean, like coma or conscious or.
Well, coma, I mean, they're not conscious,
Yeah,
right?
that's what
But
I
if they're conscious, they should pray.
And you have strep throat.
You have strep throat, or even if you're, after a surgery but you're still awake, you remember you can't use water. You can make tayammum, which is much easier. You can't stand, you can sit. You can't sit, you can lie down and just, pray with the movement of your head and you recite, but you should still pray. And that's probably a time where you want to pray more because who knows what's going to happen if you're that sick. So I know sometimes people will be like, oh, I'm sick, I'm not going to pray. But that's probably the time you should be closer to Allah. And really, the only people who will pray while they're sick are those who prayed when they were healthy. If you had that commitment to prayer when you were healthy, then when you're sick, you'll also have it. I know there's this old man, and he has Alzheimer's. And through his life, he would pray. And now he's forgotten pretty much everything, but he only remembers to pray. When's the next prayer and this type of thing. So if you have that connection to it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will keep that connection with you. Now, in that state, is that person responsible for prayers? Absolutely not. But It just shows that if you love something, you'll always be connected to it. So, yeah, keep that as important, inshallah. So even if you're sick, um, even if there's emergencies, there's no excuse to miss the prayer. You can combine them. If you have an emergency, you know you're going to go into surgery, you're not going to be able to pray Asr, you can pray it with your Zohar, combine them. You can pray Zohar and Asr together, you can pray Maghrib and Isha together. You can't pray Asr and Maghrib together, right? So you pray Zohar and Asr together, and you pray Maghrib and Isha together. If you're traveling, you can pray them together. So there's a lot of concessions that you can take, but don't miss it. We talked about when women can miss prayers. We talked about that. They don't miss when they on their menses or after postnatal bleeding. They do not pray at that time. They don't need to make them up. They don't make them up. And other than that, we should be praying.
Pregnant women pray, normal life.
Pregnant women pray. Yeah. I mean, again, according to her condition, she can't stand, she can sit, right? Or lie down. If it's a really big hardship for her, she can combine them. But still, we need to establish the prayer. Got it? Any questions? God, they made this really, really long. All right. Sajdat as-saw. So what happens if you forget something in prayer? You make a mistake. What do? You may have prayed with somebody who at the end made 2 sajdas and it seemed random to you, but that was the sajdas of forgetfulness. Right? So we can read that. We can start that chapter. All right. Who's reading next?
Where are we at?
115.
Are we on the sujudas?
Sajda as-saw. Yep. Sajda as-saw.
It is authentically proved that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to occasionally forget while he was in salat. He said, instructing his followers, "I'm only a human being. I forget like you forget. So if one of you forgets in his salat, he should prostrate twice extra in his final sitting." How to perform 2 sajda for forgetfulness. Prostrate twice either before the taslim or after it.
What is it, taslim? When you say Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, right? That's called taslim. So either make the 2 prostrations before that or after it.
Both are authentically reported from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Right.
He said, when one of you becomes uncertain in his salat and doesn't know how many rakah he prayed, 3 or 4, he should cast away certainty and build on what he is sure about, i.e. the lesser number, then prostrate twice before the taslim.
All right. So sometimes it happens where we get distracted, and it's not a good thing to be distracted, but it happens. And we don't remember how many we prayed. Did we pray 3 or did I pray 4? So go with whatever you feel more certain about, and then pray 2 prostrations at the end. And that'll make up for any deficiency.
I'm sorry, I didn't even think. Can you kind of like explain something like so? Say this is for example. Say it's Maghrib and I'm like, oh, I'm on 2, like I'm on 3, but I feel like I need 1. Like I don't know. Say I'm on.
Do Asr, right? You're in Asr,
Okay.
and you're near the end, and wait, did I pray 3 or did I pray 4?
Mhm.
I'm not sure here.
Okay.
So, what are you more certain about? More times than not, you'll probably be certain, okay, I know I did 3. So count that as 3, move forward from there. And then at the end, before you say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, you make 2 sajdas. And in the sajdas, you'd read, normally, Subhana Rabbil A'la, like you would normally read. Sit up and then make a sajda again, and then say salam. And that act will suffice for any forgetfulness that you had. So if you did indeed miss a rakah, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it up. If you made an extra rakah, that'll also help make it up.
And on the same thing, using Usher as the example, if you're sure about 3, and it might have been 4, but what if you do another rakat then? You're sure it would be 4, but it might have been 5.
Right. So then you have all this doubt. You still should just make the sajda so at the end.
Instead of just doing an extra just in case.
Yeah, no, don't do the extra just in case. Go with what you're most certain about, and then make the sajda so.
Number 2.
All right, so I'm gonna skip over the rest of this because he's giving the scenarios of a whole bunch of scenarios of if you forget this part of salat, then you do sajda so this way, and if you do this one this way. Right now, what you'll understand is you can do it before you say salam or after you say salam. Both are fine, and you should be good. If you made a mistake in your salat and you remember it during your salat, make it before your salat, make your salam. And if you're already said salam and then you remember or somebody reminds you, then just make it afterwards and you're fine. You don't have to repeat your prayer. Got it? Pretty straightforward? Okay. All right, let's read about the women. Last chapter we'll read today. Attendance of women in the congregational salat.
It is permissible for women to go out to the masjid to attend daily congregational salat, unconditional that they avoid clothing, ornament, or perfume that will attract the attention of the opposite sex or invite to turmoil or confusion. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Do not prevent the women from their share in the masjid when they seek your permission."
Okay, so women can pray in the masjid. This is fine. Their best place to pray is home, but sometimes going to the masjid is more convenient, or they haven't been to the masjid in a while. They don't feel the feeling that they should, and they want to go to the masjid. That's fine, as long as, again, intentions. They're going for the sake of Allah. They're going to establish the prayer, not going and trying to. And same with men, right? Not doing and trying to talk to women, and women not trying to go and get the attention of men. Men like to see, and women like to be seen. We need to keep that out of the masjid. Am I wrong?
That's a very, is it subjective or objective? I don't think every person's like that, but I get what you're
I'm
saying.
talking in general terms. In general, that's what it is. Except for, again, those who adhere to their modesty and understand that that's not a way to live life. Okay. All right. So this hadith indicates.
This hadith indicates that a married woman should ask the permission of her husband, and the unmarried girl should ask the permission of her father or guardian. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Any woman who puts on perfume should not attend Isha prayer with us."
Okay. So first thing is that to go to the masjid, ask, inform your husband, your brother, your guardian, whoever that is. They should know where you are. This is, it's not, in Islam, this is not a control thing, this is a protection thing. As I tell my daughter, I'm not going to tell you, I'm not telling you where to go, but if there's an emergency, I need to know where you are. 'Cause if you say, Abu, I need help, it's like, where are you in Chesterfield? Are you in Henrico? Or where are you? I need to know. So if this should be a habit, I know in our Western cultures, it is, oh my God, I have to ask permission. It's so, what did they say?
Misogynistic.
Yeah. All these different words that Western feminism has taught us, but it's not. If a man is responsible for protecting you, then he should know where you are in case there's an emergency. There's really really no bad thing about that.
What if he doesn't want you to be a Muslim?
Then you shouldn't. Who is this? Your father? Your brother? Who?
I mean, there's a part where it says you should like not listen to them, right?
Right. I mean, you can't. There's no obedience to anybody in the obedience of Allah, over the obedience of Allah.
But I guess it would be different in this case because yes, you should ask your husband or father to go to the masjid, but it's not obligatory.
It's not obligatory, so it's not an obligation on you.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not like they're taking.
It's not preventing you from an obligation. Right? He's not preventing you from an obligation. He can't prevent you from an obligation. Like if you're fasting in Ramadan, he says don't fast today. You can't do that. That's when you can disobey your parents or your husband or whoever it is the case, because there's no obedience to anybody over the obedience of Allah. But if it's something optional, then that can be negotiated.
Can you give an example of what you asked?
I don't really. I mean, I have an example. I was just thinking hypothetically, like if a person wasn't allowed to, because that happens a lot. I know a lot of people that have to just like be a Muslim in the closet, basically.
Yeah, and that's usually the case with parents, right? If somebody's young, 17, 18 years old, and they don't want their parents to know that they're Muslim because they may get kicked out of the house and they don't have any other way to survive. So that's fine. That's their relationship with Allah. They still should complete their obligations to the best of their ability, and Allah knows their situation best. Now, if that is a spouse, if you're married to somebody who does not want you to be Muslim, then you should not be married to that person. Then you should be seeking a way out of that, because that's not going to be sustainable.
Just to be clear, this is not me. My husband, is very supportive of.
Mashallah. No, I wasn't thinking on that line, but I just wanted to address that point as well, because sometimes
Because it does happen.
it does happen where sometimes, sister will be Muslim, married to a Muslim man, but he really doesn't want her to be Muslim.
Yeah. That's odd.
I've seen a Muslim. I know.
There's a lot. It's a lot like that because he's so deficient in his own religion that he knows that if she starts studying, she's going to start correcting him. Oh, I can't smoke and drink now because you're telling me? And he wasn't interested in her for becoming Muslim in the first place. He was interested in her for other reasons. And now she happened to find Islam, and now her heart is open to it, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opened her heart and she finds it beautiful, and now she's studying it and stuff, and he doesn't want that.
And there's a chance that he may be even resentful of her if she becomes a better Muslim than him.
Exactly. So that's a number of red flags right there. That's a number of red flags. So sisters, be careful. Anyways.
That opens a question. Okay, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, you have to ever be sorry don't be sorry for asking a question.
This is just hypothetical. Say I'm married to a person who is Muslim, a Muslim man.
Muslim
And
man.
he's like, okay, I want to leave Islam, blah, blah, blah. Does that invalidate the marriage?
If he leaves Islam, yes.
Okay, that's what I'm wondering.
A Muslim woman cannot be married to a non-Muslim man. So for example, if there's a married couple and they're both Christian and the woman accepts Islam, she can't be married to him right now. He has to accept Islam as well. If he accepts Islam, great. Their marriage is as it is. They don't need to get married again or anything like that. Islam recognizes their marriage. But if he doesn't, then they have to separate. In the situation that you asked about, if they're both Muslim and he apostates, leaves Islam, she can no longer be married to him. And frankly, she can do much better.
Or the in-between situation where he doesn't completely leave it, but he just doesn't
Practice.
practice.
And this is why I always say that when I give khutbahs and talks on this subject, that if a man can't get you closer to Allah and lead you to be closer to Allah, then what is he worth? Absolutely. He's absolutely worthless.
He doesn't lead you to peace and
Because the whole basis of marriage is to have peace and compassion and mercy. And he's supposed to be the provider and protector. And what's the biggest thing that he needs to protect you from is the hellfire. So if he cannot lead you in salat, he cannot lead you to be closer to Allah, why you even marry him? Straight up.
I mean, like with.
Now, some people are trying and learning, and that's fine. Because that person is striving and learning, somebody's new, and they're at least trying, that's fine. That's admirable. It doesn't mean that you have to marry somebody who's super knowledgeable or anything like that. Because even sometimes some people who are knowledgeable aren't going to help you. They're doing it for the wrong reasons. But if that person is a negative in your deen, then either fix it or that's not the right person for you. What were you saying? I'm sorry.
I forgot.
Well, let me know if it comes to you.
Okay.
All right, let's finish this. All right, so women shouldn't put on perfume outside the house. Don't do that. Yes.
What? Oh, you were saying something, sorry.
I said yes, like yes, you. I was like, wait.
What was it?
When you said women should not wear perfume outside the house, I said to them, I need to work on that. And then you said yes. I was like.
Oh, I wasn't responding to you. I'm sorry.
I was like, wait, you can smell it.
I'm sorry. I wasn't responding to you on that.
Sorry. I gotta work on that too, I guess, because like, I mean, I just don't like smelling bad.
So there's a difference between hygiene and keeping yourself smelling clean than having perfume which is loud and attractive. Right? You can wash yourself, use deodorant, something that makes sure. Right.
And we're not doing it.
Right. That's just to keep yourself in a hygienic and clean way. That's different than when a woman walks by and she leaves a trail of scent and everybody's wondering who that is.
Isn't there a hadith where the prophet said like a woman wears perfume, it's just as if like a man
Yes.
has.
Yes. It is. It is like that.
That was the first hadith someone told me the day I converted.
Of all the time, of all the things they could have told you, man.
The prophet said that. She told me that, and I was like, oh wow.
Same day.
Wow.
Granted, she asked me what it was, so I told her what I had on, but she told me that.
Yeah, some people need to chill.
I
I mean-
find that like body mist, even like the on the body use them as perfume, they're not as strong
Yeah.
because they're meant to be on the body and they like go away very quickly. too.
Yeah, so
So is it fine if it's like not super strong?
Yeah, that's what he's saying, right? It's not super loud. Where
But-
you're,
yeah,
like,
it shouldn't be something that a man who's standing at a distance from you can smell.
Okay.
Yeah, but if
Right.
I just start giving you a hug and she's like, oh, I like when you have on, like
That's something
That's-
different.
Yeah, something very light, something that's only there really to keep you smelling clean.
right.
Or deodorant, antiperspirant, that type of thing. Soap, shampoo, obviously they're scented. But again, loud perfumes and stuff, keep that for home, keep that for your husband, keep that for women's gatherings and things like that.
I've never smelled you really strong, so I don't.
I smell myself now.
Okay, anyways, let's finish.
Not like I was thinking it, but
I never thought that.
Hadith, any women who puts on perfume and goes to the masjid for prayers or salat will not be accepted until she washes it off. Okay. And do not forbid your women from prayer in congregation in the masjid, and their homes are better for them. So it is better for them to pray in the house, but it is permissible, and men should not stop them from doing so. And we'll stop there. So we'll pick up with a woman's dress in salat. Are there any questions? All right. Well, we can eat before Maghrib time. It is.
So he's looking close to 8 o'clock.